Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we take another look at shoe0nhead as she captures the issues of female loneliness this time around and also provides some solutions or ideas on how to fix it, supposedly. I haven't watched it yet, but that's what we're here to do. If it's anything like her previous videos, it'll be interesting. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Women. Despite popular belief on Reddit, I love women. And despite popular belief on 4chan, I am a woman. And as I am filming this, it is currently International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all 7.3 of you. We've talked quite a bit about male loneliness on this channel, but we haven't really touched on female loneliness, which, although technically not as severe yet, is unfortunately a real and rapidly growing trend. The modern world does not seem to have a solution to this. All modern dating advice is just garbage. The future seems bleak, so maybe we have to look in the past. In this video, we're going to talk a bit about modern female loneliness, and then we're going to have some fun looking at some dating advice from the 1950s to see if we can find a solution there. Because what worked for our grandmothers surely will work for us. Right? Back in the day when people would still go to
I was really hoping she was going to capture a point of sarcasm. She did.
malt shops and diners instead of femboy hooters. Women dated men for more than just their wallets. Which reminds me, before we get into this video, let's quickly get into today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. The number
I watched the advertisement, so you don't have to.
of single women in the US is expected to increase 1.2% every year from 2008 to 2030, compared to a 0.8% increase in the overall population. This will result in 45% of women between the ages of 25 and 44 who will be single and childless by 2030. Now, according to some people, this is apparently a good thing. More women being single and childless is a good thing. Society is progressing. Women no longer have to be chained up and turned into breeding cows. 1984. Apparently, single women spend more than the average family on travel, shopping, makeup, skincare, etc. So of course, some economists will twist this into a positive thing. But I'm not an economist. I'm your average, humble, working-class American YouTuber, slaving over a hot laptop, producing absolutely nothing of value to society. And I don't think this is a good thing. I think this is proof things are going very wrong. And if you look at the stats about how so many women are on antidepressants and how the female suicide rate has been increasing, there may be a connection here. Friendship, family, and sexual intimacy are a big part of the hierarchy of needs. And I don't think women are happier being alone and single. I just think women might be better at coping with being alone and single. At least for a little while.
I just had like the craziest, saddest thought. I'm in a stage of life where I'm watching all my friends get married and have babies.
When you talk about the subject, a lot of men will point out that these women could easily get any man to sleep with. And I'm sure they know that. But sex isn't the only thing people are looking for, as I said in the male loneliness video. It would be relatively easy for a lot of these incels to just get laid, hire a hooker, and it would take the average woman like 5 minutes to find a man to sleep with. Just walk the f outside. But casual sex isn't the solution to loneliness. It's a band-aid. It's a way to fill your void with cum. Trying to find someone to love, to marry, to have a family with nowadays, it is incredibly difficult for both genders in this climate today. And it seems like nowadays the only acceptable way to do so is to swipe right. We live in an increasingly atomized, lonely society thanks to a nasty combination of social media, technology, hookup culture, lack of community, lack of friends, lack of purpose, lack of money, late-stage capitalism, neoliberalism, and so many
Fatherlessness, autonomic families, something I kind of talk about a lot. What has led to the issue with women and not being able to secure interpersonal relationships because they never established one with anyone to begin with. A lot of the times they grow up with just a mom. Mom doesn't really teach you how to interact with men. And so their first experience with men on a genuine scale is to be adored, complimented on, flattered, right? And pursued for attentive and shallow reasons. Now, when a woman who obviously lives her life or grew up differently than a man would is essentially pampered and not really as strictly held accountable to, and then the idea is to get into a traditional marriage, which, if for anyone that doesn't know, is foundational religion. For people that are unaware, the idea of marriage and the ideologies that follow that pursuit is because of a religious founding. Is that what it is now? No, I'm not trying to say like, hey, if you're not religious, you shouldn't get married. I'm just saying, for people that are unaware, that's where it came from. In case you really want to see yourself as an atheist, or you really want to see yourself as, I don't believe in anything type of person, just know that you're asking for something that came from the realm that you don't agree with or that you despise. The other thing is that when women grow up without a sense of accountability and they remain their whole life being flattered, being pursued by at random with no real effort on their own, they never really grow to learn something very significant, and that's how to foster a relationship. And so all they know is what they like. They don't know what they don't like and what is necessary. And I think that when a man wants to take a woman seriously, if she's not putting forth the availability or vulnerability to allow herself to integrate into a relationship, she's going to be seen as something less. I think that what happens more often than not is that men check out early, women check out late. So what that kind of means is when men pursue relationships and they talk about, how women are failing to secure longer relationships, I guess you could say, it's because the man checked out early. The man saw that woman as temporary engagement. He knew that, this isn't going to be my wife. This is going to be my primal pursuit to secure my primal needs, and that's it. And the deception behind that is doing what is necessary in order to continue that, which is it's a downfall of men. We can be honest. It's a bit of we can despise men for that kind of pursuit. I don't think that's healthy, and nor do I think that that's just to manipulate people with that sense. But that's why they check out early. So they already know what they're trying to get from someone before it even happens. And they know that that's all it's ever going to be, while women check out late because they're not really sure. They have to get emotionally invested with a man in order to achieve more. And so what happens is like they get pursued by men that check out early on the basis of, oh, they like them more because they're more appealing and they're more this, because women often have delusions of grandeur in a sense. Without the accountability, they don't know what they're actually worth, and they don't know a humble view of self. So what does that mean? That they live in the arrogance that they are good enough for the best. And that doesn't always pan out in regards to what you pursue. And if you constantly pursue on a delusion of grandeur, it's no wonder that you keep getting used, right?
Other things. And men are being told to, well, nothing. You're on your own. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's your fault. You built the world after all, and are increasingly turning to the few people who at least pretend to give a shit, who just wind up selling them poison that ultimately hurts them in the end. Like hollow materialism, eternal one-night stands, and vasectomies. Yeah, in case you were wondering, that's what the red pill has been up to. Telling their audience to just forget marriage and neuter themselves. While women, in turn, are also being sold very similar poison.
I think we're going to have to talk about the red pill on the channel eventually. What's wild is that people that see themselves as the red pill types are actually getting it wrong. And then the people that are outside that belief and want to despise it are also wrong. And it's just like, because there's a genuine idea there that is just completely manipulated. It's like monopolized. It is insane how much marketing has gone behind the delusions that red pill is currently breeding. Like I said, I think it started with great intent, but now it's just this terrible thing.
about how it's good to be single. It's empowering. You don't need no man. Get on the pill. Sleep around. Climb the corporate ladder. And don't worry, baby. We'll freeze your eggs for you. But is this good advice for women? Or have we girl bossed a little too close to the sun? A study on date psychology recently revealed that 48% of men 26 to 40 years old have not approached women in the past year, and 60% of men aged 18 to 25 said they haven't. In the entire dataset, 30% of men said they never approached a woman in person before. Ever. This also might be because, like I said, everything that isn't swiping right on a dating app nowadays is considered creepy. Don't approach women at the bar. Don't approach women at the gym. Don't approach women at coffee shops. Don't approach women at work. Don't approach women at the mall. Don't approach women. We live in HR world. And it turns out a lot of women don't like HR world. Every time I see videos of women crying about not being approached by men or being lonely.
I mean, there's a certain environment that got weaponized, right? Especially the gym. Like they made it a trend to make fun of men that were looking at them because they weren't the 0.1% representation of the gym. And it's just like, yeah, no shit, because the women making these videos often think very, very highly of themselves in order to judge others. They have to. They don't have anything. They haven't really done anything. Their financial standing doesn't matter to men. So in other words, that's not valuable either. But because of that lack of accountability, they stand on that delusion that they're better and that they deserve everything. They're a 10. Every woman's a 10. Every woman's a queen. It's not true. It's not true at all. If that were the case, then we'd have a lot of kings, but or a lot of kingdoms. But that's not the case. And in regards to sexual harassment in a genuine discussion, that's also been weaponized because, granted, it's been weaponized and diluted true sexual harassment and assault, which is bad, 100%. But it's also just loosely labeled the word. I feel like they've really diminished the struggle of people that actually deal with that. And now it's just like, now men, unless they have been proven to be relationally successful on a grand scale, so either very attractive or very successful financially, and they know that the world receives them in a better light, for the average American, that's really not the case. And nowadays it's like they need the thumbs up in order to pursue anything. They need the girl to be like, "You're good, come here." And it's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So that way I know I'm not gonna sexually harass you. I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to this. And obviously you have a realm of men that just don't care and they'll shoot the shot anyways. And that's kind of how it used to be. But now with all this social media trying to start sexual harassment trends, I don't know, it's kind of ironic and devastating at the same time, because it's like you got people that actually go through stuff and then you got people that make it a trend. I feel like women find more struggles than men do. And I think that it's at a point where men are trying to find struggles equally as bad nowadays. I think that's kind of what it's coming to.
The comments and replies are always full of men like, "Enjoy your cats. This is what you asked for. This is the world you wanted, ladies." But was it? Not every woman is the blue-haired.
And I think that a lot of the woman empowerment and climbing the corporate ladder came from like the 80s and 90s, mainly because of the 70s. But 80s and 90s saying that you don't need anyone anymore. Yeah, like it's way better to do this. You need to do this. You need to prove yourself. And it's like, you didn't. You as a woman didn't, because you as a woman don't increase your value in the realm of men by pursuing these things. This isn't what makes you a good wife. This isn't what makes you a good partner. And because they had this toxic spew of, hey, if you become more masculine, nothing else matters. Well, you just gave a terrible narrative to generations of women that are now unhappy and who have historically found more happiness in establishing families and fostering a realm of life and love, which is only which is really uniquely capable by women. I think that's the beautiful thing about being feminine, is that that's what no one can fill that space, man. Men are the builders, women are the growers. They cultivate. They can foster things if they care to. And if they are given a structure that is trusting and consistent, which is typically provided by the men. And if that happens, I feel like you just have that perfect metaphorical garden happening. Obviously, perfection is not achievable, but what I'm saying is something beautiful takes hold.
Man-hating feminist stereotype that you have in your mind. A lot of them want the same exact world you do. What you have to understand is society in the media is basically like her fat, ugly, drunk friend at the bar cock-blocking you from talking to her. Excuse me? She's not interested. Even though chances are, she might be. According to the same study on date psychology, 77% of women aged 18 to 30 want to be approached more. So if men are lonely and women are lonely, but men are too afraid to approach women nowadays, there's only one thing we can do, ladies. We must approach them. So I did a little research and looked up how to approach men as a woman. Number 1, don't. Almost every single article, blog post, tweet thread giving advice to women on how to get a man said some shit like, don't chase him, let him chase you. Be unavailable and mysterious.
I think the idea of chasing is completely outdated. I do think that women shouldn't pursue. I do think that. I think a man pursuing women on the basis of something meaningful is a characteristic trait of the man attempting to be confident, attempting to be courageous for something that he desires. And there's something attractive about that. If you as a woman are pursuing men now, it's a bit of a catch-22, because one, it could be seen as like a terrible prank. And another thing is that you're pursuing a man that didn't have the courage or confidence to pursue you in the first place. Now, how is that going to look in regards to the person that's supposed to provide structure to your life eventually? Now, obviously, I'm talking long term. And I think that female loneliness is the outcome of long-term failures. And I think that that's why it's so relevant. And I think that that plays a huge part. So it's like, don't pursue, but don't play the chase game either. This is you have relational goals that you're trying to accomplish. Don't play a game with it, is what I'm saying.
Simply pretend he doesn't exist. Great. Awesome. Almost every single bit of dating advice I found amounted to let them come to us. But what if they're not coming to us? What do we do now? Well, according to the great philosophers of our time, Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate, the problem is the modern woman. Lazy, entitled, mid. These are the ingredients that create the modern woman. So clearly we have to go back when a cheeseburger was 5 cents and women were...
It's not necessarily about going back. It's about being accountable for yourself. I think that she's trying to match an extreme with an extreme. The truth is that women often have a false sense of worth because they talk amongst each other and decide what they're worth. And then they also decide what they say men want from them. Here's the thing, ladies, you don't know what a man wants. Okay, let's put it out there. You have no idea what a man needs and a man wants, especially the modern societal woman of today. You don't. The reason why you don't is because you have too much noise in your life telling you too many different things, and you've never integrated yourself into a man's life before to truly know. All you've lived on is what you've been told and what you think you know. But it's never something that's ever been confirmed, because if finding a man or finding a long interpersonal relationship has been something you've already succeeded in, then you don't have this question, right? And I think a lot of the times women talk amongst themselves. Oh, you got to be this, you got to be successful, then he's going to want you. It's just like, no, he doesn't care about any of those things. He doesn't care if you're successful. He doesn't care if you have degrees. He doesn't care if you know this person, right? Like, none of that matters. What he wants is peace. And how well can you integrate into his life to emphasize a foundation of peace. He's going to provide structure. Typically, a lot of men that are leading their own lives know how to be a leader in their own right. That's why we have a natural sense of reason, rationality. We know how to be more emotionally resilient because we have different responses in our hormones, biologically speaking. That's what allows us to do so. And we've also been held accountable more often than not. Anyone that wants to look up the study of the upbringing of girls and boys, I promise you it's different. And it's not different in a sense of societal norm. It's different in a biological tendency because we biologically, instinctually, will want to protect women over men naturally. That's typically on both genders. It doesn't matter. And so with that being said, what does that mean for relationships? The upbringing fuels the values and the characteristics of the people that become adults eventually. And because men are held to a different standard, which they should be, it's not unfair to necessarily say that men have it harder. It's like, okay, you have it harder. Now what? Anyone that wants to complain about it, good luck changing the entire world to fit your scenario, right? I think that's been a constant issue as well. But because we have to traverse the world differently, we know more about traversing the world because of it. That gives us something to stand on. And that's if we care to traverse the world. That's if we care to navigate it. If we haven't been successful in navigating the world, then we have no word or no worth to women. I think that a developed man is what's worthy to a woman. And I think that a man that's not doing anything, pursuing anything, or doesn't have a sense of ambition or sense of self, then he has nothing to structure for the woman, right? And I feel like that kind of represents someone who's going to be a little more bitter, someone who's a little more regretful and resents how they've lived their life so far, someone who's, more in the dark. Then that person obviously can't provide that scenario.
Lobotomized. That's right, we must return to the 1950s.
One of the most common ways to find a partner these days is by using dating apps and websites. But back in the 1950s, you had to get a little bit more creative. Here's an article from 1958 in McCall's magazine listed 129 ways for women to get a husband.
This list has gone viral so many times on the internet, and I have been sitting on this video idea for years. And what better time to talk about this now that all you bitches single as fuck. But don't worry, we are going to see if the red pill and schizophrenic Roman statue trad larper accounts on Twitter are correct. Did women in the 1950s have better dating advice than women today? Because apparently what we're doing today, crying on TikTok, is just not working for us. Okay, let's just dive into this. Let's go. Number 1, get a dog and walk it. Honestly, this is pretty good advice. This is fine advice. If you have a dog, you'll probably go to a dog park and meet.
I find it very humorous that they go back to the 1950s because this was pre-pill. This was pre-separating the father from the home. This was pre-feminism. Not in an entire sense. I think there's ideations of feminism prior to that were more grounded in a sense of fairness, and I think that happened in the 1930s as well. But I'm talking about the arrogant empowerment of women, not the empowerment of equality. It was the idea that women are better. I'm talking about that movement because that definitely happened. But it was preliminary to these outcomes where women had more power. And so now people are trying to navigate why that was so successful. And it's just like, how are you dodging the answer that's right in your face? More power was on men. That's why I was successful. Now, that doesn't mean you give power back to men, and that doesn't mean you take power away from women. The reason why that's not going to work is because we don't have the same men today. If you gave the same amount of power back to men in regards to societal norms, it's going to be a damn shit show. We don't have the same caliber of men today. We don't have the same character of men today. They ain't going to be the ones to get it done. But let's not play stupid in regards to why we're going back that far. I don't think that's wise. I think we know damn well it's just that we don't want to give credit where credit's due, and we don't want to admit things that goes against our beliefs.
Other dog people. I could see this working. Just please, for the love of God, do not
But yeah, going out more. Good for everything.
become a doggo mom. The amount of times I'm walking through the city and I see a stroller
Ain't nothing wrong with a
and
doggo
fucking
mom.
dog is in it. Just do not treat your dog like a surrogate
Not that kind of doggo mom.
child, please. I want to go on vacations and enjoy life. That's why I don't want kids. I have dogs anyway. Won't somebody please watch Mr. Poopsie while I'm gone? He has separation anxiety. Have your car break down at strategic places. Oh no, my brakes suddenly stopped working in front of the Bass Pro
How many movies was this in?
Shop. Oh no, not right next to the tall rich man convention. Attend a night school. Take courses men like. If you want to sign up for ancient Roman history class, be my guest. I personally would not go back to school for a man. No man is worth that. I still have nightmares about being in school. Why am I having...
No man is worth you attending a 4 to 16 week semester, but some man out there is worth you spending the rest of your life with and isolating your choices to that person? You're silly.
dreams about math homework at 33 years old? Look in the census reports for places with the most single men. Nevada has 125 females for every 100 females. Ladies, if you want to meet a man, simply hang out in the shoe0nhead fan base. The ratio of men and women here is insane. We got all types of men here. We got the furries, we got the weebs, the libertarians, the conservatives, the liberals,
the Marxists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters, and people who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
Read the obituaries to find eligible widowers. What the f***? Showing up to a funeral like,
That's-
hey, sorry about
damn.
your wife. What that dick do, though? So I'm actually getting these
That's
from an
predatory.
article written in 2018 about the advice from the 1950s. And the journalist, Bella DiPaolo, is constantly writing her own commentary after, like, almost every single one of these things. Like, look, ready? This one is like, get a job in a medical, dental, or law school. And she writes, become a doctor, dentist, or lawyer. You are a badass, so you don't need to marry.
This is one of those people that came up with those ideologies like, hey, you're empowered and you're great and amazing. It's not about being bitter and sad later, but at least you'll have this. Shut up. But I think people are kind of waking up to that now. If people have aspirations because their genuine relational goals and sense of self is being achieved, in other words, they've established a genuine marriage, kids, and that's very loving component and very meaningful purpose in their life, and they want to do they want to do these things that help attribute to a sense of purpose that's already being achieved, then by all means, I think that's perfect. But don't try to say that one is traded for the other for women. It's not the case.
One. And the next advice from the 50s is become a nurse or airline stewardess. They have very high marriage rates. And she's like, no, become a person who thinks for herself. They have very high rates of living the life that
It was this kind of narrative that shat on women, like through and through.
works for them. So become a doctor, dentist, or lawyer is good advice because strong, independent woman jobs or something. But become a nurse or airline stewardess is bad advice because why exactly? Like, I'm
Yep.
sorry, is that not a little sexist? Why
Yep.
is she looking down on being a nurse or an airline worker? The advice some women give to other women is like incredible. It's always just like constant affirmation,
Yeah.
constant coddling, constant
Yeah.
like, you're doing nothing wrong, sweetie.
Yeah.
And then male advice is like, your whole family's gonna die if you don't go to the gym right now. Be nice to everybody.
True.
They may have an eligible brother or son. You shouldn't only be being nice to people in order to possibly get laid. Just be nice to every.
All right, so shoe0nhead's really making it about like the shallow concept of, oh, it's only to have sex, and I think that you're kind of wrong for that, right? That's not why this list was literally to find husbands, right? And I know that it's slightly in a literal sense, but at the end of the day, if we're speaking biologically, women are opportunists. They are. They behave as an opportunist. They conduct themselves as an opportunist. And there's nothing wrong with ensuring your sense of survival in this world by identifying suitors that are going to provide a better version of life for you. And I think that what's tough about understanding that is better doesn't mean financially improved. Better doesn't mean that you live in a mansion. Better is in a sense of a higher characteristic value of self. Better can be like a man that provided a developmental structure for you to become better as a woman, more feminine as a woman, someone who is capable of being a mother, and in turn granted you children that you now are so effective with as a human being. That's better. That's what people are talking about when they said better. It's just that when people view better in a shallow sense, they immediately jump to what? Financial capability. And although that is important in a sense to be able to have family and be able to have stability, sure, but not as much as you think. How many women out there in these interviews are like, he has to make 100,000. He has to make 200,000. If you looked at the small percentage of men that make that, good luck. Good luck. I'm going to tell you right now that $150,000 a year is damn near triple the amount necessary to live, depending on where you live. If you live in prime real estate, like one of the liberal states and liberal cities, it's just on average. I'm not trying to take any political shots, but like California, I live in Los Angeles. For anyone that's familiar with the real estate there, it's like millions of dollars for low-end homes. But you know, starting off with $50,000 a year, $55,000 a year, that's enough for a family, believe it or not, ladies. So I think what kind of ruined that approach was comparison dialogue and the comparison narrative and perception that goes on in like Instagram and social media and stuff like that.
Everyone in general. Being nice is like the bare minimum. And what's sad is some people can't even do that.
Bare minimum for women is being feminine. Decent. Let it be clear.
At the bars in hell. And yet, get a government job overseas. Okay, I'm sorry. No man is worth becoming a fed. Do not become a federal agent for some dick. Be friendly to ugly men. Again, just be nice to everyone in general. Lowering your standards if they're very high or unrealistic is a good thing, but don't lower them too much. If you're not attracted to someone, you should not be dating them. And don't get with the first person who's nice to you or shows you attention just because you're lonely. The amount of men and women who like jump into relationships just because they're sad and lonely is way too high. It's almost always a recipe for disaster. Don't date someone who you...
Emotional chasers. Excitement chasers. The people that hop into relationships because they're bored or lonely are the same ones that leave for more spikes of that excitement later on in the relationship. So the women that are more likely to cheat are the women that dive bomb relationships. Any woman that dives into a relationship and just is this ball of like too much or is putting too much into the relationship is because she's an excitement chaser and she doesn't know how to restrain that. She doesn't know how to be refined. She doesn't know how to control what she's doing because she's too busy living on impulses to think about the long term. She's just balling into one person's life. Then she's when that's not cultivated into anything because she didn't know how, it's eventually going to die off. For the man, he's fine because he's not the ball of any energy. If a man is extremely extroverted, there's some issues there. But typically, it's not the man that's like being this ball of like too much into a relationship unless he's unstable as well. And then when things kind of fall off because the woman's not putting in the same amount of energy and she didn't foster anything with this man, she didn't grow anything with this man, well, it's going to die off. And then what's going to happen? Someone's going to come along, give her attention, and then that's going to be the new excitement, the new mode, the new impulse chase. And the cycle continues and continues and continues. And then she wonders why, I don't know why I'm alone. And it's just like, sure.
Think is ugly, but like, if he's not over 6 feet or doesn't have the perfect body, like, yeah,
that's
give
just
him a chance.
That's just more
You're
social
not
media
perfect
talk,
either, girl.
right?
But if you think he's straight up ugly. Different story. So yes, be nice to everyone, including ugly people, but don't date someone you think is ugly.
Tell your friends that you are interested in getting married. Don't keep it a secret.
Oh, we have another author's note. Tell your friends you have no interest whatsoever in getting married. Don't keep it a secret. Tell your mother. Tell all your other relatives.
Accept the bare minimum and cap yourself off with your own potential. That's what this says. That's what this person's trying to tell women is don't aspire for anything. She didn't achieve it, so you don't need to, right? It's fine. Be bitter with me. Misery loves company.
Tell all the random people you meet on the street. Declare it on social media. Bro, this is why we are here now, by the way. People like this
I said that
in
earlier.
2018 telling young women
Yep.
to not even try and just be a strong, independent girl boss. These
Yep.
are the fat, ugly, drunk friend at the bar cock blocking you.
Get lost at football games.
Alright, if I'm at a football game, I'm already lost.
Don't take a job in a company run largely by women.
You would never hear this in modern dating advice. This is like blasphemous. I like the author's note to run a company.
Get a job demonstrating fishing tackle in a sporting goods store.
See? Bass Pro Shops. I'm telling you. The last respectable institution in America.
To be clear, the reason why women have more often embittered perspectives when they get older is because so many things have failed for them, and so they want everyone to join in on that. Kind of like what I said, misery loves company. That's where this drives from. Trust me, there's no empowerment there. There's none. That's not coming from a good place. It's coming from such a dark, embittered place that's full of failure. Don't give it credit. Don't listen to it. Find your own way. Navigate your own things. Women that old, alone, and essentially disturbed in a lot of ways because they haven't been able to deal with that bitterness. They didn't find their purpose, right? They might have these accolades, whether it's professional or academic. Trust me, that didn't satiate their stability for the world. It might have stabilized them financially, but it didn't do so in regards to dealing with old age and dealing with the idea that your life is ending, because that's a dark avenue that we got to approach eventually. And if you have no true, genuine purpose that's unique to our genders, I think that men and women do have a different ideations of what true purpose is. That idea, the idea of your end, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna feel heavy. That's why you got to find purpose.
On a plane, train, or bus, don't sit next to a woman. Sit next to a man.
Author's note, spread out all your stuff on the seat next to you and maybe you will get to have the whole row
Encouraging more isolation.
to yourself. The contrast between the like wholesome goofy shit from the 1950s and this like bitter modern asocial shit is so funny.
Go to all reunions of your high school or college class. There may be widowers there.
What is up with this like predatory ass advice? Why widowers? Be a rebound for a man whose
All right, so wait.
wife fucking died. Also, I just
To be fair, I think a lot of the ideas of widowing came from the loss of life in World War II on a general scale. I think that's kind of where that came from, and so it kind of continued over. Now, granted, it was a lot more men dying, but it didn't change the fact that some women died as well. And I think that kind of maybe plays a little part. That's like the only thing that really makes sense to me. Outside of that, it's just like it is pretty predatory.
realized I missed my 10-year high school reunion. Oh well. I don't think anyone would recognize me anyway. I'd have to like wear an Invader Zim shirt and like trip pants.
Don't be afraid to associate with more attractive girls. They may have some leftovers.
What are you doing here? What do you mean? I'm here for the scraps.
Don't room with a girl who is a sad sack and let her pull you down to her level.
The person commenting on every single one of these steps, don't be that.
I mean, this is pretty good, like, standard advice. Don't surround yourself with negative, miserable people. Like this journalist who will just try to drag you down to her level.
That's what I was
and
saying.
attempt to sabotage your dating aspirations.
Learn
Yup.
to paint. Set up easel outside engineering school.
The author's note. If you like to paint, set up your easel where nobody will bother you.
Yep.
Spread your stuff out so nobody will sit next to you. Set your easel up where nobody will bother you. They want you to die alone.
Stumble when you walk into a room that he's in. Carry a hat box.
What? Do we put a hat in the
It's just a historical trend. Don't pay it no mind.
box? What do we put in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box?
Wear a band-aid.
It's a
People
good
always
movie.
ask what happened.
No, they won't. This was absolutely written in the 1950s, where people used to talk to each other.
Make a lot of money.
Damn. Why didn't I think of that? What great advice. Don't be poor. Dropping the handkerchief still works. God, everything seems so wholesome and simple back then. Drop a handkerchief. That's all it took.
I think it was so simple because there was so much chivalry. I think that it was so open. Like, I think the reason why a lot of this worked back then is because being feminine didn't mean being feminist. Being feminine didn't mean being feminist. Let that sink in. I feel like some people are going to get confused there. It was such a difference. That perspective on women also provided such a difference. Now, what do we got? A bunch of women complaining about what currently is, or gaslighting each other into complete isolation. We're not in a good place. Now, granted, the male loneliness epidemic was pretty bad. I think females got it bad too. I think women have it bad too. I think it's bad on both sides right now.
Like, even my mom, what she did to get my dad's attention, she just, like, rode her bike back and forth in front of his house. Like, that's so adorable and wholesome. Want to know how me and my husband met? He trolled me on Twitter. He was a hater on twitter.com. How do I explain that to my future children?
Stand in a corner and cry softly.
I had a feeling that the person that she was married to was going to disagree with her perspectives. I just had a feeling.
Chances are good that he'll come over to find out what's wrong.
No, chances are people will whip out their cell phone and start filming you, and then you go viral. Crazy Karen cries in corner.
Buy a convertible. Men like to ride in them. Learn how to bake tasty apple pies. Bring one into the office and let the eligible bachelors taste it.
There you go.
Honestly, this is pretty cute advice. I could see this maybe working. But, like, people are so weird about people, like, dating at work nowadays. That used to be, like, the #1 place people would meet their spouse. And now it's like saying Susan looks nice today is sexual.
Yeah, it's something like 70% of people in corporate or businesses have had workplace romance before. And then it's something like 42% of businesses in the United States have policies against workplace relationships.
Harassment. I like the author's note here. Learn how to bake tasty apple pies. Eat them. Don't do anything for a man ever. Do everything for yourself. Wow, thanks, Journo. You helped so much.
Just sit there and just smash on some apple pie.
Female loneliness cured.
Laugh at his jokes.
Laugh at his jokes. If they are funny. Attractive people make the terrible mistake of assuming that they are funny because simps and simpettes will laugh at any joke they say, no matter if it's funny or not.
Law of attraction.
You're not funny. People just want to you.
Yep.
Know the difference.
True.
Accidentally have your purse fly open, scattering its contents all over the street.
Oh no.
And I feel like that's kind of diminished people's genuine interest too when people fake the funk too much for the basis of law of attraction, which just means that you are going to be nicer or better on behalf of how attractive or appealing they are to you or how interested you are into them. And it's just like that really gets in the way of wholesome interactions, because now it just seems like everyone's a snake in the grass. You know, like everyone has their hidden agenda, and it's just tougher nowadays.
Oh, I dropped my monster tampon that I use for my magnum pussy.
Wear high heels most of the time. They're sexier.
Journo note. This has become my favorite thing. Wear shoes with no heels. They are way more comfortable. Or don't wear shoes at all. Okay, terrible advice. Wear shoes. You don't want to attract the foot guys. Trust me. I know some of them are in this comment section right now as we speak. Horrifying. But yes, heels are attractive. Heels are pretty. They make your ass look good. They make your legs look good. I don't see how this is bad advice. Unless he happens to be shorter than you are.
Oh, see, that's kind of funny. Over-accentuating your body, depending on where you are, I think. And I don't know. I think it's a bit of a catch-22 because you get a lot of like sexual harassment cases on the basis, well, if you didn't wear heels, then this would have happened. And it's just like, damn, that's a pretty tough narrative to lay on people, right? I think that's a pretty tough narrative to lay on people. So it's hard to say. I mean, this is obviously guidance from back then, though. And yeah.
Oof. The manlet's catching strays even back in 1958.
Tell him he's handsome.
Journo note, let's go! Talk to someone who is less needy and insecure. This bitch doesn't even want you complimenting men that you are interested in. Also, ladies, pro tip, if you want him to just melt in your hands, don't say he's handsome. You can do that, but next time you're like walking with him or something, just be like, I feel very protected when I'm with you. He will be locked the fuck in. I don't see the fault in
Don't play the game. Don't play the game. Don't do that.
like complimenting a man or a woman that you are attracted to, that you are trying to date. Why does that make them insecure or needy?
Take good care of your
Here's a quick tip. You want to know what works for any man and what works for any woman? Compliment a man in a masculine sense. Compliment a woman in a feminine sense. Skadoosh. There you go. Anything within a masculine realm is going to be a natural compliment to a man. Basically, what he can provide, his ability for stability, his ability to be intimidating or protective in certain settings, his strength, his presentation, the way he presents himself to the world, right? Any form along that, and you mean it from a good place, that compliment is going to be genuine and authentic, and it's going to be very effective because it's going to be a little affirmation to what he's already trying to accomplish. And it's the same thing with women in a feminine realm, right? It's the same thing in that direction, whether it's something that's loving, adorable, growing something, making a genuine attempt to be more caring. These are other things that can be seen as a feminine compliment. Boom.
health. Men don't like girls who are ill. Get a sunburn. Go on a diet if you need to.
Yep.
You would never, ever see this advice today. What's crazy is like,
I feel like diets are coming back a little bit. I feel like body positivity is losing its traction with all the obese people dying.
in the early 2000s, very, very skinny was the look. Like, I remember being a kid and seeing things about how, like, fat Britney Spears is when she looked like this. And now we've gone completely 180, where it's like, health and fitness be damned, Lizzo is a queen. Like, can't we just be normal about this? Why is there no middle ground between, like, having an eating disorder and having an eating disorder?
When you are with him, order your steak rare.
Absolutely not. I eat my steak well done. Not even well done. I eat that shit. Congratulations.
You ain't gotta act like him. Don't be like, don't do things that will make him respect you in a manly way, right? Because a lot of times eating rare meats or things close to raw was seen as primitive, and primitive is tied into forms of masculinity, presentation in regards to that sense. Yeah. If you like that, if you like food that way, sure, whatever. More power to you. But don't try to appeal in like a manly way and be a bro. Don't try to be the homie. All right, you're trying to be the lady, and that is something completely different. But like I said, if you already appeal to those foods, then that's your interest. That's how you like things. There's nothing wrong with that.
Don't tell him about your allergies. Don't be too fussy. Don't whine. Girls who whine stay on the vine. Double date with a gay, happily married couple. Let him see what it's like.
This has such a different meaning today.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Double date with a gay couple.
No.
Let him see what it's like.
No.
Be flexible. If he decides to skip the dance and go
Oh man, gay meant something completely different back then.
rowing on the lake, go. Even if you're wearing your best evening gown.
Journo note. Tell him that's fine, but he has to wear the evening gown and the heels. Hello? Force feminize your date. 129 ways to get a boy wife.
Turn wolves into husband material by assuming they have honor.
Okay, I'm so fucking brain broken. I'm such a degenerate that, like, when I read this, I immediately thought of, like, Legoshi the wolf from Beastars. Like, oh, he'd make a good husband. Oh wait, how old is he? Hold on. Oh god, oh god. Oh god, wait, he's 17. Wait.
Resist the urge to make him over. Before marriage, that is.
So basically, trap him and then mold him into your perfect mate. Okay. I swear this advice is getting more insane the further we go. The lobotomy is kicking in.
I think that it's just transparent. It might be vicious to the people that have pampered the meaning of a lot of things today, but I think that they were just transparent back then. You know, there was less deception, maybe. You know.
Remain innocent, but not ignorant. If he's rich, tell him you like his money. The honesty will intrigue him.
Will it? Honestly, maybe. If he doesn't mind.
I mean, it kind of tells him why you're there, so that can be bad. But like I said, it's also in the realm of what he can provide. So that's why it's going to be a compliment to him. However, because of his defensive posture or risk of losing that finance or his financial platform, you know, because divorce rates are bad, he might see it as a red flag as well.
Marrying a gold digger, I guess. But if it's just like a dude looking for love and you're just like, I like your money, it's over. You fucked it up.
Never let him believe your career
It's a little on both sides. I don't think she understood.
is more important to you than marriage. Clip and mail him a funny cartoon that means something to the both of you.
Hold up. There's such a powerful meaning behind this, because the reason why this was a thing even back then is because it didn't matter. It didn't matter to men. And so he didn't want to know that. And he didn't care to know that. And so it was more often than not that it shouldn't even be part of either thought process, that what's being pursued on your end is more important than what you're trying to establish with him. Because otherwise, that's going to brush him off and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to be a part of this then. You can pursue what you want.
Let him believe your career is more important to you than marriage. Clip and mail him a funny cartoon that means something to the both of you.
That's like sending memes, right?
Literally the 1950s version of sending a meme.
Yeah.
Stop being a mama's girl. Don't let him think he'll have in-law trouble, even if you know he will.
Journo note. Guess who never has in-law trouble? People who stay single. What other articles
She's just been justifying her isolation this whole time.
has this woman written? Let's look this up. The real sex lives of middle-aged single women. A world without marriage. The unsung joy of living alone. The thrill of going to holiday parties.
All journal points that justify her loneliness. Like, be lonely like me. Be bitter. Like, look at the things that she's attacking.
Alone. Why being in a long-term relationship may make women more depressed.
Yeah.
There are more single people than ever. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The profound rewards of staying single.
I'm done. This is just sad. This is sadder
Yep.
than Anita Sarkeesian having a wedding-themed birthday party and marrying herself. You're gonna look at this and tell me there's no
man.
female loneliness epidemic?
The idea that this is like, this was a move and this was like celebrated. Oh boy.
Really? Point
To each their own.
Out to him that the death rate of single men is twice that of married men.
Marry me or you'll die an early death.
If your mother is fat,
That's
tell
a
him
damn
you
threat.
take after your father. If he's fat too, tell him you're adopted.
Genetics.
It was a different time. Stow away on a battle.
Eugenics was big all through the purpose of the 1930s, 40s, and remained a staple scientific point. And for anyone that's not familiar, it was basically if you were going to have a family, you wanted the best ideal children that you could possibly get, right? So in other words, you wanted no history of illnesses. You wanted tall, you wanted sleek, slender women, fit women. Just same thing with men. You wanted tall men. It's kind of like along the lines of what women seek in men. They have a biological tendency to pursue stronger men, taller men. Just on average, not everybody. I understand that, but their interest, women's interest, was on the biological pursuit the primal instinct to have children, these kind of men. And so eugenics was the reverse theory of men wanting that from women as well, even though it wasn't as important.
Bullshit. Rent a billboard and post your picture and telephone number on it. Oh my god. Do not do this. Sink at a fashionable beach at high noon. Make and sell toupees. Bald men are easy catches.
Damn.
Don't marry him if he has too many loose buttons. The end.
So ladies, what have we learned? Follow around your hot friends for scraps, get a sunburn, and carry around a hat box. Wow, this will surely solve female loneliness. No, but for real, some of this advice was actually much better than like any modern dating advice I've seen. Like at least some of this advice was go the f outside and talk to men, as opposed to don't talk to him, like let him chase you, don't even look him in the eyes. Also,
Yeah.
men, I'm curious, which one of these would actually work on you? Would you go over to a woman that was crying and ask what's wrong? Does the hat box do it for you? I'm curious. By the way, the link to the whole list will be in the description. I would love to see your own takes on this list, like your reactions, your own video responses to this list. I've been seeing a lot of VTubers responding to my videos lately, so if one of you anime freaks are reacting to this right now, I see you. So that was that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If not, I've stolen like what, 20 something minutes from your life that you will never get back. But if you did like it, please consider donating to my Patreon, link down below. We're gonna start doing movie nights together, and I would love to see you there. And I will see you next time with a new video. Bye!
So that was the video by shoe0nhead, and it wasn't exactly what I expected. I thought that there was going to be more of the current narrative at play. I thought it was going to be a lot of the videos of women complaining about what's not working for them, and the dialogue of what women think men want. And like I said before, I'm gonna try to not reiterate myself or repeat myself as much as I can, because I know that sometimes that happens. But the big thing here is this: the only way to find out what men want is by navigating successful relationships with them. Until then, you don't really know, and you're not going to know unless you are that involved into a relationship with a man. That doesn't mean situated. That doesn't mean that you exist. That means that you have made honest attempts at integrating yourself into that relationship. No man wants another man in his life, heterosexually speaking. What I'm saying is that men who are leading their own lives and they are seeking relationships based on their ability to foster, or not foster, but structure a relationship because they're already successful in certain areas of their life. Maybe they're not at the top of that financial totem pole yet. They don't have to be, but maybe they've developed along certain dimensions to be able to provide structure to a relationship or structure to a marriage and kids. That's what emphasized the preparedness to have families, and they've achieved that at least, and they're still climbing financial successes. That's okay too. What men want typically in relationships is a woman that is going to integrate themselves into their ability to pursue and achieve whatever they're doing. That's what they want. They don't want to fight. They don't want some argument. They don't want catty comments. They don't want demands. They don't want these other things that women swear up and down that's how they should be in relationships. They should still be demanding. They should still be bossy. And it's just like, no one wants those things. They don't care for your successes either. And although it may sound good, it may be like, oh, this is someone who displayed discipline in her own life. That's okay, cool. But that's not a deal breaker. A man can pick a woman out the mud. A woman can't pick a man out the mud. And that's very specific. The reason behind that is because men can provide structure, women cannot. They don't know how. And that's not a shot to okay, well, women are less. No. What I'm saying is that both have these unique, ideal, specific roles, not to lock them in place, but this is where they are better. A masculine woman is never going to be as good as a masculine man. Go ahead and prove to me where I'm wrong. A feminine man is never going to be as effective or as good in a general sense as a feminine woman. Tell me where I'm wrong. And so you may have outliers where, well, this very masculine woman was more of a man than this feminine man. It's just like, okay, cool. You're comparing the wrong things. I said masculine men. Go ahead and pull a masculine woman and then compare her to a masculine man, and let's see who wins where, right? I don't really want to make it a competitive thing. What I'm trying to say is there's things that emphasize our best biological selves into the society that we live in. And I think that one of the things we need to acknowledge is that we need to emphasize and step into the roles where our natural strengths are, and then have that critiqued by our unique personalities. And I think that that's so important. And one of the key things to being feminine is being a little submissive, not in a sense that, oh, I am a slave to this relationship and this man needs to be controlling. The first thing I'll say is, you're not a slave to nobody as a woman, being feminine. You're not a slave to nobody. You're choosing this man as your leader in life because he is admirable and he deserves that. He deserved that respect for you, or he earned that respect from you. That's different. That's not controlling. That's submitting that power that you had to integrate into something greater than you, which is a combination of you and this person. That's not to say that every woman needs to be submissive to every man. That's not what I'm saying. If that man is not admirable, then don't be submissive to him. He needs to earn his way and become something worth following, or worth being able to structure something for a family in order to be considered admirable. And then that in turn, can that be something that a woman submits to, because you know that he is going to act and move with considerations of you throughout the remainder of his life, and you can trust him with that. And because you can trust him with that, you are more comfortable, protected, safe, and stable on the basis of those ideologies. And that's where women are so effective. They find themselves into their pocket because they made the efforts into that relationship. I'm telling you, they are so effective. And the one key the one key piece of guidance for women: kill your pride. Kill your pride. You don't know better. Stop the demanding. Stop the entitlement. Stop these things that get in your way and make you perceive and put on a masculine perception. You're not masculine, and it's not in you to work as a masculine person to think that's going to be in your favor. I don't think it ever will be. And if you're trying to navigate life and not be lonely, then you need to cast away the narrative of being masculine is good. It's not. And I think that the second you cast that away and you pursue more feminine displays, genuine at that, trust me, these are the things that will work. I promise you, these are the things that will work, because a lot of men just want peace in their life. They already go through the struggle. They already have their own struggles, as we all do. But the last thing that they want is some stubborn, head-charging woman to come and make that life a little more hell. All right, I don't think any man wants that, and I don't think any man aspires to have a family around that, because it's one thing to have those beefs and that trouble and that argumentative relationship, but imagine having kids around that. Imagine having kids around the woman that wants to be the boss and wants to be demanding. You're gonna have kids that are gonna grow up thinking that, one, that relationship is normal, two, there's no relationship dynamic that works, and three, they're going to lose respect for the father, the person that's supposed to provide structure. How is that going to work out? Women don't win by shitting on men. They win by integrating into them and becoming something incredible. One of the key points that I've realized is women are seeking relationships on the basis of status and thinking that with their entitlement, they can receive all benefits to that status. The thing is, though, you need to become a woman worth marrying. When you show up to a relationship, that's not you automatically being worth marrying. You need to become the woman worth marrying. You need to become the woman that's worth having kids with. That is where your worth is determined. And to think that, oh, I deserve these things anyway, it's like, not necessarily. That's like saying any man deserves all the wealth in the world because Our ideations and ambitions are naturally different. It doesn't work that way. And so women approach it in a shallow sense and then expect the success to happen on its own. That's not how it works. And so when it comes down to these successes, women have to pursue these relationships with a little more humility and know that these things aren't a given. It's not something that happens on its own. This isn't some linear relationship that maps out to marriages or children. It's something that has to have constant effort into. You need to cultivate that relationship into something that can have those things. That's what needs to happen. People that think that's going to happen on its own, it's no wonder that it keeps failing. And it takes honest effort. It really does. It takes honest effort out of the woman to do so. And I think that it's about time we come to realizations that that's the case. You want that? Okay. Put in the work that gets that. Otherwise, don't expect anything from a relationship that you put nothing into. There's a lot of women out there also that, will say, well, he hasn't proposed to me yet. It's been 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. It's like, okay, cool. What have you done to earn that faith? What have you done to earn that sense of confidence from him? Have you been the greatest? Have you developed yourself into the woman that is for him, to where he knows that for a fact? I'm gonna take a wild guess and say probably not. Wild guess. And I think that plays a huge part, because what you want and what you're worth are two completely different things, and they are not the same. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for everyone that stuck around so far. A little bit of a long one this time around, but it was a interesting subject, and it was a very interesting time capsule going back to the 1950s. I think it was very obvious as to why people are pulling information from back then. Just my thoughts though. Anyway, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you dislike the video, then dislike it and you'll never see me again. But also comment in the comment section down below for any of your perspectives and thoughts. This was quite a bit of a interesting one, like I said before. So go ahead and hit me your pitches with what works for you as a man. If you had guidance and opinions or perspectives that you would like to give women, and what works for you to help alleviate the struggles that women are currently facing, go ahead and put that in the comment section. I love seeing different people's perspectives and how they've navigated life and how that's changed them and changed their values into wanting certain things over others. And I think that that's the great, unique thing about being human, especially in America. So with that being said, thanks again, and I'll go ahead and see you next time.